Just woke up and the water moved way up and my canoe is gone. There was nothing to tie it off to. I pulled it all the way out of the water last night, then set up my tent, and the water came way up and picked it up, and it's gone. And I just walked the shoreline, ran in both directions to see if it had just happened. If it was close by, it's not. So now I'm walking a ways to see if I can find it on the shore. And I don't know what I'm gonna do if I can't. I called the sheriff of the county or whatever, and I don't know. They said they can send someone out in a car, but they can't help me with my canoe. I'm waiting for it to get light to see if I can see it, but man, it had everything in it and it's gone. And if I can't find it, that's gonna be the end of my trip. But we're not there yet. Like, I just discovered it missing an hour ago, so we're not that far gone yet. So when I pulled it up, it was all the way out of the water, and look at this now. That point right there was the top of my canoe, completely out of the water. And there's the water. But that's where it was. I've been walking the shoreline. I'm up on a hill right now. As you can see, it's getting light. Haven't seen anything. I'm looking out at the water, and I'm walking next to it until it turned into a wetland, and then I had to come further ashore, but I don't know. It's just disappeared. I can't see anything. The sheriff just called me back, and he's sending his deputy with Fish and Wildlife to launch from a ramp 7 miles that way, and they're going to work their way up to my position looking for the boat. So I gave them a description, and they're doing that now, which I guess turns into a waiting game for me. Unfortunately, all the clothes that, like the really heavy stuff that I have, is on the boat. My food is on the boat. I have a day's worth of food if I stretch it with me right now, and my water jug, and then obviously my camping stuff, like my tent and sleeping bag. But unless these guys find it in that 7 mile stretch, I don't even want to think about what I'm gonna have to do then. I ate a grapefruit and fixed a jug of coffee, started a fire to keep my hands warm. It's getting windy, and now I just wait for Fish and Wildlife to show up with their boat, because I've pretty much walked as much as I can in the shoreline in that direction before it turns into a wetland, and in that direction for the same. So I don't know, about 3 miles ashore I've walked and looked, and I can't see it. And of course, everything when you're looking for a canoe looks like a canoe, but it'll just be a log or a reed or something. So I gave him maybe 2 more hours to get here. I don't know. I hiked to a water intake pipe where he picked me up in his truck. It's a couple hours later now, and the fishing game guy said he was busy this afternoon, and the waves were too choppy to go out and look for my boat with his boat. He passed me off to a sheriff's deputy who dropped me off at a park and said no one would bother me if I camped there. It's about 2 miles behind me. So everything's kind of changing right now. My trip was disrupted, obviously, because I made an error in how I secured the canoe last night, and it's gone. And I'm going to the one place that never changes, and I'm going to see if I can get any answers or any peace from there. I'm going to St. Anthony's Catholic Church, and there's Eucharistic adoration today, so I'm going to sit in front of the Blessed Sacrament and see if I hear anything, see if I feel any guidance on what to do next, because I'm not really sure what I should do. That Friday, the church was having a pro-life demonstration up in Bismarck, so I caught a ride on the school bus with all these high school kids to get up to Bismarck, which is the nearest big city, so I could figure out the next steps and maybe replace some of my gear, too. Melissa and Perry, friends of Peggy's from back at Tobacco Gardens, helped me out big time in this regard. He took me around to all the stores where I needed to get my stuff, and she hosted me for 3 days so that I could have 1 day to source all the gear and 2 more days waiting for the windstorm to pass so that I could get back out on the lake. I met with the guy who's selling the kayak. It's told him I might be back if I choose to buy it, and then I'm checking out one more, and then I went to the thrift shop, and then we're just leaving Menards right now, where I got some gloves and hat and a face covering and stuff. And then Perry has kindly offered to drive me around while I do all this stuff. And I went to the thrift shop, got a winter parka and quarter zip and socks for kind of some warmth, and then just a couple more things, and then I will be getting my food and then hopefully getting back on the river. But this is working out way better than I thought it would. I settled on the Perception 14.5 foot Carolina, manufactured in 2007. I paid $500 for it, used, and providentially was exactly what I needed. A long, narrow kayak that, by all reports, handled tracking well, did okay in the waves, and would go much faster than the canoe that I had just lost. So I've got everything configured here in Melissa's garage, how I'm gonna have it packed. I'm gonna wear the parka, wear the life jacket, and then this is all tied down. This is all tied down, and then that. Well, I water tested my canoe, so all the seals are good, the bulkheads don't leak. I didn't do much of anything today, except for kind of hanging out and waiting for the wind to die down. I went to Mass, and I just picked up a book to read for tomorrow or any other time that I'm windbound. And now I'm going back to Melissa's place to get some supper and wait for another day for the wind to break, But yeah, another day waiting in Bismarck, ready to go, but the conditions haven't broken yet. Melissa and Perry drove me back the following day. The wind was still going strong, but I could be ready to go in the morning, and I owe these two a huge thank you. Perry for lending me his car to drive around to get all my stuff, and Melissa for hosting me for 3 days. Although she had never really met me, we were complete strangers, although now we're friends. I don't know how many videos I can make going forward without my camera and batteries, solar panel, drone, all that stuff, but I will try and keep everyone updated. But I think the part of the trip where I'm stranded has come to an end, as I've got the kayak all loaded up, and I'm about to paddle out to this chilly October North Dakota morning. Well, it was a tricky morning getting used to this kayak and the balance, and there's nowhere to put anything because it's just a little bitty cockpit. But I think I'm getting the hang of it. I had a calm day, which was a good one to start on. The last 2 days I waited in Bismarck for the wind to die out, and it looks like tomorrow I'm gonna have quite the fight ahead of me to get through some windy waters as well. But this whole trip, is a spiritual journey as well as a real one. And I've been praying for resignation to the divine will. That specific intention for the whole time I've been out here, I guess. And it's really taught me not to think about what should be or what I want to be, but just trying to accept exactly what is and what's going on. Even when my canoe is taken away and the weather seems to not be cooperating, that's the will of God, and I have to accept it. And that's what I'm praying for the grace to do, because it's not getting any warmer out here, and I think I'm gonna get a lot tougher before I get a lot warmer. So we will see. Yeah, this is pretty much looks like where I grew up. You got the chrome dome of death hanging over the Dakotas here, because I'm right on the state line, and then just wavy and windy and just no sun in sight, no blue sky. This feels like home, This feels like Michigan. Unfortunately, I didn't do a lot of kayaking when I was in Michigan, so we'll see how good I am with all these waves and junk. But I'm about to get started. Yeah, South Dakota, here I come. About every third wave or so out there was pretty nasty, and then they were starting to get up above 4 feet swells. And 2 of them joined me in the cockpit. They came up over the bow and kind of swamped. And it's only picking up out there. It's only getting more windy and with more waves. So I started a fire, and I'm just kind of drinking coffee and hanging out on shore. waiting for conditions to change, but it might be the rest of the day before they do. So now I wait, kind of on just this little sand dune in South Dakota. I'm in South Dakota at least, but I did not go far. Well, I decided yesterday that it was better to make a few miles and swamp the boat than to make none at all. So I got to camp at, dark, making like almost 6 miles for the day, and dried out all my stuff at the fire. And then this morning left in the gray light of dawn, where I think it's going to be this shade of gray behind me for the rest of the day as I paddle towards Mobridge, but no wind. Paddling. I take a short break to just like hit the shore, take a leak, eat a carrot, stretch, and then keep going. And I try and keep it under 10 minutes every 5 miles. So I really am trying to get the most out of the decent weather that I have. And right now I'm going under the highway bridge to get to the town of Mobridge. And that marks my first town of several in South Dakota. And it wasn't an easy one. I mean, the weather's not ideal, but I think the ideal sun set a long time ago. And from here on out, it's going to be what I can work with and what I can't. And this is something I can work with. I dropped off my battery pack at a motel lobby, and the clerk said she'd let me charge it there for a bit. Then I went over to the food store and got some groceries to get down to Pierre, and then gas station for another lighter, because you can never have too many. Last night my primary failed and I had to go to my backup, so I'm getting the backup to my backup. I'm not going to be cold. And then I'm gonna pick up a sandwich here at the sandwich shop and go back to the kayak, which is stashed in some weeds by the insurance agency, and it'll be less than an hour in and out of town, which is kind of what I was shooting for. Yeah, one final delay before I get out of town. It was absolutely bucketing last night, the thunderstorm, and I'm back out on the water a little later than I wanted to be, but it's warm today. It's going to be warm. I can feel it. All the mosquitoes came back to life. I thought they were in their holes for the winter, but wherever they go. But yeah, the camp was swarming with mosquitoes this morning, and it's sunrise right now. And I'm going through this whole congregation of birds. And I'm going to try and make as many miles as I can while conditions last. Well, they know what's good. They're getting out of here faster than me, I might add. They're all going south. Yeah, there's just scores and scores of them flying past me this whole time on the other side too. But the sun was here for about 20 minutes, and now got the chrome dome back, and just me and all these birds going south all day long in the gray sky, I guess. It's storming to the south, and I don't know, between all the birds this morning rushing south, and then this fisherman that stopped and was like, there's colder temps coming, and the next 2 days are wind. It's like, I know, man. I'm going as hard as I can, But I've got about 18 miles done for the day, and I'm trying to make 19 more, because that would put me at my mail drop to get my rain gear and some other junk, and I would just be ecstatic if I could make it that far today. Yep. I'm pretty exhausted. I've been paddling with only my right arm, because for whatever reason, the kayak just keeps tracking to the right. I mean, the weight's balanced. I think it's the swells and the wind are putting me off course, just so I constantly have to paddle on the right to compensate for it. And I put my coffee thermos in the water on the left side of the kayak to kind of act as a rudder and drag me down on that side. It's working a little bit, but it feels like I'm just moving an inch at a time against these waves. And they're dying off now. That's why I'm able to film, but they're just, gosh, I'm watching the shore and I'm like barely moving, you know? And then it's because it's just all this whole bay paddling with my right arm. Definitely didn't go as far as I wanted to, and I stopped before sunset, which is the first time I've done that in a long time. But I got pretty thoroughly swamped and soaked, and by the end of the day I was just walking the boat along the shore, pulling it along on a line because my shoulder was so shot I couldn't paddle anymore. So I've got a fire going. I finally found some wood. I got a fire going to dry out all my clothes on the line there, and I'm wearing my night stuff, which I keep dry and in 2 separate bags just in case. And I'm gonna get up early first thing in the morning and keep heading south.